Hi, and welcome to the Qigong Effect Summit. We're having this summit to discover how to boost your vitality, build resilience, and banish stress. I'm your host, Robert Bowley, and today I have the immense pleasure of talking with Clara'a Apollo. Clara'a is a professional Qigong and meditation teacher, having trained for 4 years with the College of Elemental Qigong in London and with Qigong Grandmaster Ken Cohen. She has facilitated many classes to thousands of people over the course of the last 20 years in the UK and in Europe, sharing these wise teachings to a range of ages, abilities, and possibilities. Clara'a is also trained in Reiki, color mirrors, EFT, and Immotrance, nutrition, and laughter yoga, plus is the creative director of Conscious Living Events, focusing on sound healing, natural energy, and environmental concerns. All topics that run through her radio show, Qi Time, on UK Health Radio. Welcome to the Qigong Summit, Clara'a. I'm delighted that you're here.
Thank you so much, Robert, for inviting me and for that kind introduction. Most appreciated.
You're very welcome. So, Clara'a, would you like to just kick things off to begin with and just tell us a little bit about your background and how you kind of got into Qigong in the first place?
Well, it is a reasonably long story, so I shall keep it short for this and succinct, because that's what is good to do. So throughout my childhood, I always had two strands of study that were very, very present within me, and that was art and human biology. And I used to spend quite a lot of time with my grandmother. I learnt to knit and crochet with her, and she was a very kindly but she wasn't very well. She had very poorly legs. She had ulcers on her legs. And I remember once she took her bandages off, and I was just not horrified at all. I was just went to kind of place my hands above them as if I wanted to soothe and heal them. And it was then that I sort of, and that only looking back do I realize now that I was trying to help with the energy of it. And then she told me about how she used to be a nurse in the war, and other stories came out there. And I thought, I know, I want to be a nurse. But at the same time, I was busy making costumes for all my dolls and making other always had a creative streak running through me. And so I did do both human biology and zoology and art at A level, which was not popular at my school to do the art and the science, until I suggested that, well, Leonardo da Vinci did that, so surely it can't be too bad. Anyway, and so I went to the John Radcliffe School of Nursing, and that was my first training, and in health, I suppose, but I didn't realize that actually it was about disease management. And I mean, I've got to hand it to nurses. Any nurses watching, oh my goodness, how do you do what you do? I'm in absolute awe of you. Because at the end of my 3-year training, I had punishing tonsillitis. I was really burnt out, exhausted. I think my sensitivities were just more, I just couldn't do it anymore. And I thought, I have to get out of here. So I had my tonsils removed and I went to art college. I followed that vein and did a degree in printed textiles and fashion, and then became a costume designer for 15 years, and a performance artist, because part of my background is ballet dancing. I've always had that kind of movement going through, and rhythm and music. But then at the age of 28, I had my son. And that was a big pivotal moment. I mean, like it is for a lot of people when you have your kids, it is. But this was mega, because it was a wake-up call for, like, there was a little being that relied on me. And I realized I had to take care of myself much better. I could no longer burn the candle at as many ends as I could find. And I then was looking at how much work I was doing as a costume designer was really bad for my body, particularly around my arms and sitting and shoulders. And I became quite ill. I had a repetitive strain injury on my arms. And in the end, I had to stop being a costume designer because of that, which was friggin' scary. Can I say that? I can, I just did. And one of my son's friends' fathers was a healer and a cranial sacral therapist. So I started to look at alternative methods of healing, because I didn't want steroid injections. And he did some cranial work, which is amazing, and some shiatsu. And I was looking at acupuncture and Reiki. That's where Reiki first came into. And he said to me, why don't you try Qigong? And I said, what are you talking about? What? And he said, oh, well, I'm teaching it tonight down at the old fire station. We lived in Stoke Newington in London then. He said, why don't you just come along and see how it goes for you? He didn't really tell me anything more than that, but I trusted him because he was a friend.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, Robert, honestly, my first session was like a complete homecoming. I'm like,
oh, wow.
Why haven't I done this before? And oh my goodness, I recognized something about how I was moving with my breath and my body that my soul recognized as nourishment and deep self-kindness. So, you know, and so it grew from there, really.
So you had immediate connection with it?
Immediate. Although it took me quite some time to actually feel or sense the chi.
Yeah.
Because I had so much tension in my arms and stuff. But I was then absolutely, I think, was introduced to Ken Cohen's book, The Way of Qigong, and I just began studying. And I was doing 3 classes a week. My son was old enough, and I had people that could take care of him. And it became like my oasis of me time.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was so thirsty for it, and so needed it, and was so fascinated by all the elemental components. You know, the water, the wood, the fire, the metal, the earth. It was like, wow, because I'm from the New Forest in the UK, though I live near Glastonbury now. So I've always been a nature girl, even though I spent 20 years in London. It's an important part of who I am.
So tell us about that connection with the elements and Qigong.
Well, the first one that really connected with me, and the first one that we always work with when we do our practice, is the earth. And it's that fascinating acknowledgement of when you acknowledge that the earth beneath you has always been there and will always be there for us as we are on the planet, incarnated in physical form. It's just such a, oh my goodness, she's always there, which somehow makes you breathe out and sink down in to meet her more, in acknowledgement and appreciation of that consistent support. And that helps tensions to unwind out of muscles. That helps you to sort of land in the present moment and just to be in awe of the earth, of this amazing planet that we are on. And I'm a big environmental activist as well. I think, you know, there's a lot of honoring of the planet that we could do with more of on our in our societies. But from a personal perspective, to know that my physical body is supported by the earth, but there's also an energetic quality, that the more you can connect with the earth, the more she comes up to meet you. So the work or the play is to be in your WuJi, which is your fundamental standing posture in Qigong, and to let yourself feel that support of your bones, which is your internal architecture, which to me connects with the physicality of the earth, and the energy of the Om of the earth can resonate up through the bones of your legs and your hips and your spine, your wonderful spine, into your arms, so that you get that the power, that the power of the earth actually is within you.
Yeah.
So it's huge. I could go on and do in workshops.
So I'm always intrigued because there are so many different styles of Qigong. From a beginner's point of view, it can be mind-blowing, the choice that you have, especially if you venture onto YouTube. You get more than you bargain for often.
Yeah, it can get a bit mystifying,
Yeah. So from a beginner's point of view, it's kind of always interesting to know maybe the unique feature of this or that style of Qigong.
Well, I only know the Elemental Qigong and the Primordial Qigong that Master Ken has taught me. But I'd like to focus on the basics, the simple connector factors between all styles, because there are them, which is the connection to the earth, how you're standing so that you are in alignment with, well, heaven and earth, but with yourself. But also to be aware of your 3 Dantian, your energy centers in your belly, your heart, and your third eye. And then to become aware of the meridian lines, the extraordinary meridian lines. These are the ones that you might well have heard of, the meridian lines that feed or nourish the organs. But there are the rivers of qi, the meridian lines as such, that are that activate these organ meridians, are the extraordinary meridian lines that run up the back, down the front, and up the center line, and then round the waist. And I work with those a lot too, because if you take care of the fundamentals, then everything else is more likely to find its harmony and balance.
Yeah. So from the point of view, coming back to a beginner, where's the ideal position to set off your Qigong journey? You were talking about alignment. I guess that's kind of a good, because a lot of people have very poor posture.
It is, and it's one of the little jokes, because I like to use humor because I think it's important to take yourself lightly, but also it's a tipping your hat to the inner smile, which is such a fundamental internal meditation that is a key part of Qigong, where when you bring a lighter energy into your system, then, you know, you feel better on the inside out. And so a lot of the work that I do is internally ignited and then externally expressed. But with alignment, it is how you're standing. So yeah, we would say, so how would you stand? In fact, we can do this now. How would you stand or sit in a relaxed way? And I would, on purpose, I'll put my weight onto one leg and I'll kind of cross my arms. I'll go like, I'll slump a bit and go, yep, that's how we all stand in a relaxed way. But actually, can you feel the impact of that on that side? And can you feel what that's doing? Right. So how about we look at how can we stand in a relaxed way that's actually good for ourselves? So we go into some retraining about this. And it's actually the topic of the whole of the first seminar of the teacher training is the WuJi standing structure. And it's actually having a wider stance than normal. So you stand in your A-frame, as I call it, rather than horse riding, which is more martial. So it's just slightly wider than hip width apart. So you've got a broad base. And it's also nice to bring in the symbol of the earth element, which is a mountain. And it's like, yeah, I'm straddling my mountain. And you can kind of then feel safer. And when you feel safer standing, you're more likely to be able to then sink into the structure of the legs. So letting the bones of the legs and the hips carry the weight of the body. And there's all sorts of things we can do about this. If you've practiced yoga or Pilates or any of those, the principles are the same. It's finding that center line. And in fact, I have got a little exercise that we can do to actually help find that. Should we do that?
Yeah, let's have a go.
So you can do this standing or sitting. And for the purpose of this video, because we're set up with me sitting, I'm going to do it sitting, but I do highly recommend it standing. But anyway, let's do this. So if you are sitting, still your feet can be hip width apart. And you're sensing the weight on your sitting bones and the backs of your thighs and on the soles of your feet. And if you just let your hands form the crossed hands position, so the Lao Gong center of the palm, we cross it over like that, and then we bring that over just below the belly button. This connects us with our Dantian and our center of balance. This is the physical center of balance. And as you do that, just let yourself rub your belly. We all are not involved with this part of our body enough. So as we rub it, we feel it, we sense it. You may notice it softening. So you can soften the abdominal muscles, because you don't need to use them. You don't need to suck your belly in for this. In fact, we like our Buddha bellies in Qigong. And then just let your hands come to a steady place. And tune into the rhythm of your breath. Watching the air gliding in and out of your body. And feeling that emptying as you breathe out and the receiving of the breath as you breathe in. And just let it be comfortable and natural. And just feel as you breathe out that connection down into the ground, into the floor, into the chair, as you surrender to gravity and know that gravity is helping you to connect to Mother Earth at all times. And from that connection down, you may like to imagine roots growing or an anchor dropping so that you connect energetically with dear Mother Earth. And you recognize that solidity in her that resonates up through your bones into your structure. And it just seeps up gently like a bubbling spring up through all the structures of your feet and your legs, relaxing the knees and the ankles, and into the hips. And here we have a very interesting setup. The hips are like a bowl, a basin that holds your upper body. And in the back of your hips, you've got the triangular shaped sacrum that's wedged between the two hip bones. And this is the base, this is the root of your spine. So just feel some breath coming in to the sacrum and to the beginning of the lumbar vertebra. And be aware of the same level as your hands are at in front as behind you. So you're breathing into a fuller space in your belly if that feels comfortable. And here from this great foundation, your long, strong spine can snake up through its natural curves, like the fractal of bony shapes that it is, each one balanced on top of the other, forming a long, strong triangle that houses your spinal cord and has the potential for mobility and strength. It really is a most fascinating structure, and each and every one of us has one of these. Obviously, I'm very fascinated by the human body. I'm giving thanks for this as we watch our awareness traveling up the length of our spines, softening as it does all the way up to where the shoulder girdle meets. And just bearing in mind here, you can breathe into the shoulder girdle, create some space in the shoulders, and let them relax into the support of the spine. The arms can hang, and then coming back down to your crossed hands, nice and steady and stable, but releasing tension and just letting yourself be as you take your awareness now up the length of your neck into the base of your spine and base of your head. And just let the back of your neck lengthen as if you're being drawn up from your crown so that your jaw relaxes. And if you've got your eyes open still, they look down at a 45-degree angle. Just opening up energy centers on the top of the spine there. And create some space. And then we let the awareness travel up to the crown and beyond. So you imagine a laser beam of silver light shining out the top of your crown, up through the air above you, up through the ceiling, up through the sky above whichever building you're in, and up, 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 right up into the cosmos, connecting in with heavenly chi. You might like to imagine a star right above you that it docks into and anchors you to the heavens, just as your roots is anchoring you down to the earth. So if you are in alignment now with heaven and earth running through you, then everything else can arrange itself around that. So just get a sense of a feeling of what that feels for you to have that alignment and connection, because as we connect with the cosmos and the earth, the yin and the yang, then they are able to dance through you as the light and the dark, the up and down, the in and out, light and day, as you go about your life. So that was an intro to the alignment, but what I was really wanting to share with you was the rocking. So from here, your hands on your belly, you might like to rub them a little bit more. You're just going to let yourself tune into the rhythm of your breath again. And as you breathe out, let the whole of your body come forwards. If you're standing up, you press into the balls of your feet. If you're sitting, you're more into the thighs. And when you breathe in, you bring yourself back to center. So the out breath is taking you forwards. And your in breath is bringing you back. Out breath forward. So just working with the rhythm of your breath, whatever feels useful for you here. It's very important to let your rhythm determine your pace. And although this is a very simple movement, because you're utilizing the power of the breath at the same time, it brings you into an expanded space and experience of the now moment. And it can help you discharge tension, because as you breathe out and come forwards, you're pressing down into the earth, into the bubbling spring point on the balls of the feet. And that's activating it and encouraging fresh new chi to come up the inside of your legs into your dantian. So there's some energetic anatomy that is going on here for you as you rock back and forth. And what you can do when you're ready to, is to gradually make the movement less and less. So not so far forward and not so far back. And you let your center, your dantian and your center line, find where that place of perfect poise and balance is for you right now. So you let it find you rather than you thinking you know where it is. And it will bring you to a sweet spot. And you can breathe that in and own it. And say to yourself, I am balanced. I am calm. I am connected, or I am whatever it is you want to align with at the time. And this, I find, brings us into our seated or standing WuJi for the here and now, and can be used anywhere, even in a queue in a supermarket. Just to bring us all back to regular stuff again.
That was lovely. That was really lovely.
Good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And what I find so interesting in Qigong is the naturalness of it.
Yes. Such a relief, isn't it?
Yeah. With it's interesting. So with the difference between Qigong, for example, and what we think of as general exercise is huge, isn't it?
It is. It's a flip for people's minds. And
yeah.
I worked in the leisure industry for 10 years. In fact, I'm a fitness instructor as well. Not that I've ever dared to work in a gym, but I thought it was it was useful information. And when people would be referred to my classes because they weren't able to do the other ones, and they'd come in and go, this is exercise? Brilliant. Let's do some more. So user friendly, but and it has that ease of accessibility. But because of that, you get this relaxation, this deep letting go of tensions, of expectations.
Yeah.
And so people connect into who they really are a lot more. And that's what revitalizes them, as well as some of the moves that we do to get the energy moving. But it's easily accessible, but don't underestimate its power.
Yeah. Because it's a wonderful way, isn't it, that as you enter that space, what isn't you is kind of shed bit
So true.
by a bit, but you don't have to make it happen.
You can't make it happen, I don't think.
Yeah. Well, isn't it true though that in today's self-help world, there's a lot of emphasis on changing who you are, transforming who you are in a very external way.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a car. You just change part.
Yeah.
But with Qigong, it's a very natural process of just.
Well, the body, it wants to let go of tensions and stress and things that aren't your truth. So when you let it come into this naturalness, and also maybe run a few clearing forms or so that you get the energy flowing so that it can do its work for you. You place yourself in the optimum place for the discharge to occur, and straight away you're going to be revitalized, which is why it's pure magic. You let go of the old and you're instantly getting fresh vitality. So this is another baffling thing, isn't it? It's like, how can this be an energy, an exercise form that gives you energy when it's all about chilling out? Haha, therein lies the key.
Absolutely. It's not about expending a lot of energy to get something. It's the complete opposite, isn't it?
I know. And that's why our Western minds struggle with it, because it's like the whole like no pain, no gain, and like push, push, push. And, you know, there are people that do achieve that way and it does suit certain body types, but it is not for everybody. And it's finding your right way, isn't it? What's going to help you? Yeah,
absolutely. So what's interesting, I always find it interesting, is to ask another Qigong practitioner, over the years that you've been doing it, what have been the main benefits in terms of health or otherwise?
Oh, this is a huge question, Robert.
That's what we all want to know.
Well, it's given me access to the peace at the center of me. That's the overarching thing. I know it really well now, and it serves me so well.
Because I think in today's society, if you've never encountered something like this, it's easy to get distracted by all the noise going on, you know, and to think that there is no peace possible, you know, but actually there is, isn't there?
There was always inside us, and I'm a well-occupied person. I run a thriving events company. I have a busy radio show, and I run a Qigong teacher training program, and other things. So my practice is my savior. That's my go-to. That's my oasis, and it saved me, saved my sanity. I was home free for 5 years, and I've just come into a home. I'm in month number 3 of having my own place.
Right.
Oh my goodness. And that's when I took on the primordial Qigong form and started training with Master Ken, and was really looking to reclaim Qigong for myself as I was going through the menopause, and I was like really needing self-care and some. And I was teaching before like 15 classes a week, and it was just too many.
Yeah, that's a lot,
yeah, but it was my livelihood, and it's like, no, I don't want this pressure on my practice anymore. I want to share what I want to share, not because I have to.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean to spend 5 years without a home. It just happened that way. And I never was homeless. I was a house sitter, and you know, that kind of thing. Let's get that clear. I was still but it was still a heck of a strain, really, and a pressure not to have my own place. And my Qigong became my home. It showed me the home within me that I was then taking everywhere else.
Oh, that's lovely.
And yeah, so it's a huge, huge gift. So not only is the peace at your center, it really is. It's just peeling back the layers and trusting that it's there.
Yeah.
But it's also your home that you take everywhere with you. It shows you that.
That's that's a lovely thing to end on. Unfortunately, Clara, we're coming to the end of our chat. If there was one thing that you would like the listeners to take away from this, what would it be?
Trust your heart.
I like it.
Trust your heart. It will never lie to you. It might be quite tough with what it tells you, but it is your best friend. It's connected to your spirit and your soul. And it's a huge power for good in this world.
Yeah. And more needed. People listening to their hearts.
Yeah.
And following it.
Yes. Be courageous. The word courage is from the French cœur. And I think of us being like, it's not like fluffy, woolly kind of love-hearty type stuff. There's like, that become a warrior of the heart. Be prepared to stand up for what your heart is speaking to you. And tune into its quiet voices. There's a lot of within Qigong about the subtle listening of what's really wanting to be communicated to you from your heart, from your dantian, from your soul, you know. And it's cultivating that art of internal listening that is part of the peace work. And as we connect with the peace within us, guess what? We're going to see more peace in the outside world. And as we unwind the stress and tension and anxiety within us, so the potential for that to happen also externally will occur, is my belief.
That's just a gem to hear. Well, thank you so much, though, for a wonderful interview. Where can people get to learn more about you?
I have my website, which is clara'apollo.com, and that will lead you to the conscious living events as well as the Qigong training. And then I have Qi Time Radio, which is on Spotify and on Google Play and on iTunes, as well as being on YouTube. The videos are, and of course it runs through the UK Health Radio Network as well. And I'm also a member of the Bright Sky community. We're pulling Qi Time through that too, which is very exciting.
Excellent.
And if you are on Facebook and you want access to some free Qigongs with me, then head over to the Qi Up Your Week Facebook group and just ask to join on, and I will be very glad to add you, and then I can guide you through where the videos are. And I'm dropping stuff in there all the time, like we're going to be telling people about this amazing summit that you've pulled together. Thank you so much. Genius. Needed, really needed.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.